What's going on? My name is FreerunnerX10 and welcome to a brand new video. So in today's video, we'll take a look at Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is the brand new Call of Duty game that is coming out this year, set to release on October the 25th, 2019 on PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It is the first Call of Duty title in the franchise to have cross-platform play, meaning that you can play with your friends on console while you play on PC, and that is truly amazing. But when it comes to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, there seems to be quite a bit of controversy surrounding the game, which is what I want to discuss in this video. In terms of controversy, there's two major things that are being worried about right now by what seems to be a vocal minority in the Call of Duty community, but it's something that I feel has a very strong warrant and people have a right to be upset about these things respectively, as long as they take their opinions and they don't try and harass or berate anyone, as long as they are careful, concise and actually make a point. Then I think these discussions are okay. In terms of these discussions, what I'm talking about is specifically the exclusivity of the Spec Ops survival mode, which is only going to be available on PlayStation 4, and it's going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 4 platform for an entire year, meaning that people on PS4 can play a Spec Ops survival mode for an entire year, and people on Xbox and PC will have to wait an entire year, essentially wait for the next Call of Duty before they can even try that mode, but we have to pay the same price for that game. And another controversy is in regards to microtransactions within the new Call of Duty game. When it comes to Call of Duty over the past couple of years, the games have been plagued with a variety of different microtransactions, to cosmetic, to sort of battle passes, to even pay to win loot boxes where DLC guns are hidden behind loot boxes and you have a random chance of trying to unlock those brand new weapons. And I think that is absolutely disgusting and atrocious, and it's something that Activision did very, very heavily with Black Ops 4, essentially turned that game into a cash grab game where they tried to get as much money as they could out of the people still playing Black Ops 4. And if that is something that's going to make its way to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the brand new Call of Duty game coming out this year, then we are gonna have some issues, I think, and that's something I want to discuss in this video. So it's a lot to cover, and hopefully I can get my thoughts and opinions across in a careful and concise way that people can understand, and hopefully you have your own opinions on two of these topics and you can also weigh in your own thoughts and opinions on the matter. So we're taking a look at the exclusivity of the Spec Ops survival mode, only available on PlayStation 4 for an entire year, and we're also taking a look at the possibility of microtransactions being in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So when it comes to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, there are going to be three main modes available on launch of the game. You have the single player campaign, the multiplayer that everybody knows and loves, and a Spec Ops mode which is going to have co-op missions, but there is a mode that is only going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 4 and it's going to be exclusive for an entire year, and that is a Spec Ops survival mode similar to a Spec Ops survival mode that was featured in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Essentially, you basically get money, you gear up and you survive waves of soldiers and you try and get to a high wave round and complete that Spec Ops mission by surviving as long as possible. There aren't any specifics as to what that entails, but essentially it is a survival mode at its core, and although the details haven't been shared as to the specifics of how that mode works, it's easy to speculate what that mode is about and what you have to do. But that mode is exclusive to the PlayStation 4 for an entire year. So why is the Spec Ops mode exclusive to the PlayStation 4? Now, when it comes to consoles and console exclusive, obviously each platform has certain games that are exclusive to that platform, but when it comes to Call of Duty, a platform has had exclusivity rights to Call of Duty depending on the console generation. Take for example last console generation with the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. The Xbox was on top. It was the best console of that generation that everybody seemed to have. Everybody was playing on Xbox, and so when it came to Call of Duty, any exclusivity in terms of DLC was given to Microsoft. They struck a deal with Activision, meaning for example when it came to Black Ops 1, when DLC packs, map packs came out with the multiplayer maps and then the zombies map, essentially that was exclusive to the Xbox platform for an entire month, and then it would release on PlayStation 3 and PC. Now when it comes to this console generation with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, it seems that the PlayStation 4 is the platform that has come out on top. Sony has managed to make an exclusive deal with Activision. So what this means is when it comes to Call of Duty, PlayStation 4 get exclusives for the COD franchise. For example, when it comes to Black Ops 4, which is technically the current Call of Duty, they released a brand new update called Black Ops for Operation Dark Divide. It has a ton of new content, stuff for Blackout, a new zombies map, a new load of black market content, which is cosmetic items you can unlock through a sort of battle pass tier system. Essentially, this was released on September the 23rd, 2019, and it is something that is stated as coming first to PlayStation 4 with other platforms to follow, no specific date. So there is that exclusivity that still exists with Activision and Sony, and this is probably why they've gone down the route of making the Spec Ops Survival mode exclusive for an entire year. So instead of having it exclusive for a week or a month, they've got an entire year. They don't want to make the rest of the game exclusive to one platform. So when it comes to multiplayer content in terms of hopefully maps, weapons, gadgets, anything that is added to the game in terms of core gameplay elements, hopefully there is no exclusivity on that. It comes out for all platforms at the same time. And I think they kind of have to do this because every single platform has to be on the same version. Every platform has to have the same update because of the cross-play gameplay, where you can play with somebody on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC at the same time. Everybody has to be on the same patch. They can't be on different patch. They can't have different versions of the game. They can lock certain things behind a platform, for example, the Spec Ops Survival mode, but when it comes to multiplayer, they want everybody to be on the same page so that they don't split the player base, and I think that's great. But it's kind of annoying that you're paying for part of a game that you aren't going to get for an entire year, and it's exclusive until October the 1st, 2020. That's an entire year. Well, less than an entire year when the game comes out, but it's a long time. If you think about it, when it comes to Call of Duty, how long are you actually going to be playing Call of Duty? Are you going to be one of those people that plays it initially, plays a lot of the game, prestiges a lot, reaches max prestige, and then stops playing the game? Are you going to play it on and off for an entire year? It depends, because some people might not see value in that. They might play the game for an entire year, feel like they've got their money's worth, and never actually play that mode until at one point they decide to play it randomly. It's something that is kind of weird that they're doing, but it makes sense because obviously Sony and Activision have that deal, and obviously Sony has to get some kind of exclusivity because they've paid for it, and Activision obviously has to provide that because that's part of their deal. So it's interesting to see. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this deal, but hopefully what it means for the future of Call of Duty Modern Warfare is that when it comes to the multiplayer, the thing that I'm most interested in, and the actual Spec Ops co-op missions, we get all of those at the same time, and there's no exclusivity on them. Hopefully. No news on that as of yet, that's just speculation on my part, but I'm hoping that's the case, and if it isn't, Activision better have a damn good reason why. But I'm pretty sure we already know that reason, and that reason is that money talks, and Activision likes to make money, they have a lot of money, and they'll do whatever they want, and if they don't see themselves becoming bankrupt, then it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, and that's pretty much the underlying thing with this whole situation. It doesn't matter how much anyone says anything or what their thoughts and opinions are, it doesn't matter. Infinity Ward doesn't make the decisions. They make the game, the single player, the multiplayer, the Spec Ops, they make the missions, the maps, the guns, but when it comes to monetization of the game and providing exclusives to certain platforms, that is all under Activision's wing, and Activision is a corporate entity run by rich people in suits. So when it comes to that, how much do they actually care about you, the player? The simple fact of the matter is they don't really. They honestly couldn't care who you are. All they want to know is, are you going to spend money on their game? If so, and you buy the game, that's pretty much it. They don't care. As far as they're concerned, they've provided you with a service, the game, you've paid money for it, they've got some money for it, they've made some profit, and that's it. That's as far as it goes. So we can say what we want about how we feel, but unless everybody who has said that this is silly, I don't like this, I'm cancelling my pre-order, never actually buys that game, and it is a large majority of people that causes Activision to actually lose profit, then nothing will be done. And that's the simple fact of the matter. So yeah, I want to know what you think in the comment section below about this situation regarding the actual exclusivity of the Spec Ops survival mode, only available on PlayStation 4 for an entire year. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Why? Let me know, because I want to see other people's thoughts and opinions on this and see where I sort of stand in the grand scheme of things, what everybody else is thinking and saying. Are you sort of making your own judgment, thoughts and opinions, or are you going off what other people are saying blindly? I'm kind of very curious to see what other people have to say. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter. This is an Activision decision, this is a corporate decision, and the only thing that will change that is when they lose money. That's the bottom line. Now, when it comes to Infinity Ward are the developers. They are passionate about their game. They are making this game because they want to make this game. They enjoy making games, and that is something that they do. Now, when it comes to actually talking about the game, specific game mechanics, and talking about balance and things that you would like to see changed about the game, that feedback is definitely listened to, it's taken on board, and things do change. But when it comes to corporate decisions, Infinity Ward has no say in that, and this exclusivity of the Spec Ops survival mode is a corporate decision made by Activision, and that is the bottom line. So without further ado, let's talk about microtransactions that possibly might be in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. We're going to move on to this topic because it segues quite nicely. So let's talk about microtransactions, or MTX for short. Now, microtransactions appear in a lot of video games, a lot of games in general, from mobile games all the way up to AAA games such as Call of Duty and Battlefield, and they are very, very weird in certain ways. And what I mean by weird is some of these microtransactions can be very predatory. For example, let's take FIFA. FIFA sort of revolves around every year bringing out a new FIFA game. That game obviously costs money. It's like £50, $60. And then you buy the FIFA game, and then there's Ultimate Team. And Ultimate Team is where you collect cards which are your favorite players. And you can sell these on a market, but essentially the best way of getting the best players you want is to spend real money, open packs, and randomly get given certain cards that you can maybe sell on and then buy a card you want, or basically get the cards that you want from just opening a load of packs. And that is something that is kind of predatory. You expect to see that from mobile games, and mobile games sort of do that, and it looks like AAA publishers over the course of several years have adopted some of these predatory monetization strategies in terms of microtransactions. Now let's take, for example, Call of Duty, and we're going to take a look at Call of Duty Black Ops 4, because when it comes to Black Ops 4, and this is the worrying thing, and this is why people are upset about this, is when it comes to Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 4's release, Black Ops 4 was a good Call of Duty game. It had no microtransactions, reviews were great, it was a really, really good Call of Duty. Multiplayer, Blackout, was really fun, people liked it. Obviously, there are people who are not going to like that game, but the majority of people enjoyed the game and continued to play it. Now, as the course of Black Ops 4's life cycle progressed, what you actually noticed from Activision is that they gradually shoehorned in a load of different microtransactions. Now, when the game started out, there was like a black market, which is essentially like a battle pass, and you basically play the game and you progress through it, or you can buy the tiers and progress quickly and unlock all these cosmetic items. And essentially what they then did was they added in supply drops, or loot boxes, and these supply drops essentially had cosmetic items in there, as well as DLC weapons. These weapons could only be obtained from those supply drops, meaning that you'd have to open these supply drops that cost real money in order to basically get a new weapon as part of the game, which I think is just disgusting. I also believe at the time of these supply drops, you could only buy these with real money, and they weren't earnable by playing the game, but they later changed that when there was a lot of backlash from people who were upset by these supply drops. And in terms of those weapons, some of those weapons were overpowered, and the only way you could get those weapons was through random chance in these supply drops. And then eventually, what they did is they nerfed those weapons, so people who had spent loads of money trying to unlock these weapons now have weapons that are nerfed and they're not pay to win anymore, so people are upset by that. But the whole scheme in general to add these loot boxes or supply drops so that people can get a random chance of getting weapons and cosmetic items is really, really dodgy, especially when it comes to actual in-game items like weapons. When it comes to cosmetic items, I'm not really all that fussed about loot boxes. I think loot boxes are very predatory, people should be wary of them, and I think certain authorities in certain countries should look into them, and they are, and assess whether they are gambling or not, and have some rules and regulations on them, because they are very, very dangerous to certain individuals who are easily persuaded to make impulse buys, and they are very, very dangerous. Bottom line is, what Activision do is they release their game, which is a brand new game, and they leave out these microtransactions. They make sure the game looks clean, pure, and is amazing. Reviews come in, reviews are positive, yay, great, everyone's happy. Hopefully Call of Duty sells a lot more than it did last year, to the point where they can make a ridiculous amount of money and still come out smelling of roses. And then eventually, as time goes on, the reviews have come in, the reviews are set in stone, we get to a point which is live service, and live service is where the game's constantly getting updates, it's evolving over time, and this is something that happens with every single game, and it's something that has been shoehorned as a term now. A lot of companies want live service games, and essentially they update the game and then they add the microtransactions in. In some cases, some games add in really good microtransactions that are cosmetic only and that you can eventually earn if you work your way up to it. Others, not so much. It's either you buy this or you don't get it. And in some cases, that is then tied to loot boxes, and it's not cosmetic only, it can be weapons and gear, which is really, really terrible, and it's something you expect from a pay-to-win, free-to-play game, and not a AAA title such as Call of Duty. But that's the stage we're at now, where that is now the common norm. Now, why am I worried for this? Well, I feel like this is going to happen. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is going to release, and if you buy it on release, you're supporting the game, and then you're supporting the future decisions of Activision, and Activision will then shoehorn in microtransactions, which we know nothing about yet. There could be microtransactions. There probably most likely is, but we don't know whether there are or not. And that is worrying, because you need to, as a publisher and a game company, you need to set out what your product contains. That is absolutely key. You can't just be like, leave it to speculation. You have to set out what things are going to be like. The issue with this is some companies have done that. We'll use EA and DICE as an example with Battlefield 5. Essentially, they outlined what was going to happen with microtransactions in that game, but they never stuck to what they said. So what this means is they basically make themselves liable by saying that they're going to do one thing and actually later on down the line turn around and actually say, well, that's not what we meant and we meant differently. So a lot of these publishers like Activision will avoid sharing that kind of information about what they're going to do with their microtransactions, so it doesn't look bad on them if they change their mind. And that's something that is very shady and scummy, and it's not something that I'm overly pleased with, but that's how it is. So a lot of people are obviously speculating about the microtransactions. We don't know whether there's going to be microtransactions or not. We just assume, because every other Call of Duty previously has had microtransactions, and Black Ops 4 had the worst of those with the black market and having supply drops where actual weapons, pay-to-win weapons, were in those randomly given out supply drops, in terms of obviously you open it like a loot box and then it will give you a random item. So that kind of thing doesn't fly, and it's really, really scummy, and it's what Activision, I guess, are going for with a lot of their games, especially with Call of Duty. So it's something that a lot of people are expecting, and they want clarification, and that's what the controversy is about. People want to know what microtransactions are going to be added to the game. Are they going to be paid to win? Are they going to be loot boxes with predatory means of actually getting people to buy them? Are these microtransactions going to be cosmetic only? And that's what people want to know. Personally, I have got to the point where I don't really care about microtransactions in a AAA title if they're cosmetic. I really don't care. If the core gameplay is fun and I like the core gameplay and I'm getting stuff that I can unlock, like weapons and new gadgets, new attachments and all of that, and that is part of the game, and I can work towards unlocking that by doing challenges or doing specific things without having to pay money, then that is absolutely fine, and I don't care about buying specific microtransaction cosmetic items. I think cosmetic is the way to go. In terms of what game does it best in terms of microtransactions, I think Rainbow Six Siege is something to look towards. Rainbow Six Siege actually has the best model for their game. It's an ever-evolving game. It's a live service game. It's probably one of the best first-person shooters out currently. It is a lot of fun and it's really cool. You have operators, you have cosmetic items. Now when it comes to the game, it has two currencies within it, and you have one which is renown and the other one which is R6 credits. Now the renown can be earned from playing the game, completing missions, and just playing the game, and that's easy to earn. You just play the game, and the amount of time you invest into that game, you're rewarded for playing the game. And if you would like to buy cosmetic items or unlock a new operator really quickly, then you can buy R6 credits with real money. But you don't have to do that. You can invest your time, play the game, and unlock everything by playing the game, from cosmetic items to actual operators, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I will say that it does take forever to unlock this stuff, but the fact that it's not limited to just microtransactions only is absolutely phenomenal, and something that a lot of companies should be doing, but they won't, because they know they can make a lot of money out of microtransactions, predatory tactics, and basically trying to strong arm people to buy these microtransactions and feed off what the term is whales. They basically try to entice whales, people who are going to spend a ton of money on the microtransactions and not really care. And in some cases there are people who spend a ton of money on microtransactions when they can't really afford it, and that is because they're very vulnerable and they need help and support with that. So yeah, it is something that is very scary for the future of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. No one knows yet. Hopefully they release some information about the microtransactions. I presume we won't see anything on launch. I presume they'll do what they did with Black Ops 4, where microtransactions kind of won't exist, and then as the game progresses in its life cycle, they'll start patching them in, and that's when we kind of have a problem, because people don't really care. People don't care enough to vote with their wallet, and that's the issue. That's the underlying issue with everything that is to do with the video gaming industry, is people will say that I don't like this is bad. But when you give a company your money, you're basically just agreeing with them. So there is no point in saying that you don't agree with this thing and not buy the game. Personally, I enjoy Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I like the beta. It's a lot of fun. The game has some issues with server tick rate and feeling like I'm dying to super bullets, which is not fun. But it is a fun Call of Duty game, and I haven't played one in a while, and I'd really love to play Call of Duty again. But if it comes down to it, and the microtransactions are predatory, and you've got stuff hidden behind loot boxes, then I won't buy this game. I'm definitely holding off buying it on launch and seeing what happens, but I have no faith in the fact that things will be different, because they won't. Microtransactions will be shoehorned into the game, whether that's from launch or after, and they're going to be there. They're going to be predatory and most likely going to be pay to win. And it's really dumb, stupid, but that's how it is. And that won't change until this whole microtransactions loot box bubble explodes in these publishers' faces and they see some backlash from it and they start losing money because it's unsustainable, which it is. So long term it's not good for them, but they'll keep doing it while they can make money. So yeah, hopefully you sort of agree on these opinions and thoughts that I'm having about the microtransactions and also Spec Ops survival mode being exclusive to the PlayStation 4 for an entire year. Personally, it's out of anyone's control until we vote with our wallets, and I don't think there's going to be enough people who do that, so therefore it doesn't mean anything at all. So that's pretty much it, and that's my underlying thoughts for both topics. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know in the comment section below. This is a very long video, a lot of commentary, a lot of ranting. Hopefully I got my points across clear and concisely, and hopefully you understand what I'm saying. I'm excited for COD, but I'm going to wait and see what happens. But hopefully I'm not disappointed. But who knows? I probably will be. We'll see. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did in fact enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like. Unfortunately, if you didn't enjoy this video, there's always a dislike button. And as always, if you'd like to see more content like this or more content by me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.